Hello, everybody, and welcome to Behind the Screen with a bunch of dungeon masters sitting around and talking shit, basically. Talking shop and talking shit. One of the ways that we get through all of the trauma that the players put us through. But today we are visited by all of these lovely DMs that you see in front of you, and I would love to go around and have them introduce themselves and tell us about themselves, where we could find them, if they have a place that we can find them, and how long they've been a dungeon master. Let's start with, on the screen, I see 7th Mastery first.
Okay. I am on 7th Mastery. I'm on the Twitch, and TikTok, usually doing Magic the Gathering streaming in the morning, but I do a lot of video content about Dungeons & Dragons. I learned to read from Dungeons & Dragons when I was 5 years old. My brothers didn't have a cleric, and so I was their cleric because otherwise their asses would be dead. Then I realized they were running the rules wrong, and the Satanic Panic happened, and by the time I was 11, I was a Dungeon Master. So I have been Dungeon Mastering for over 30 some odd years.
Damn.
Yeah.
That is backstory.
That's some cred right there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Next, LoreMoth. Lore, tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name is LoreMoth. I am on TikTok, Twitter, Blue Sky, as all of the above, Tumblr a little bit. Mostly I do videos about the backstory and lore for your favorite franchises and worlds, but I am also known for being a TTRPG dev, slowly working on a couple of projects over there.
Wonderful. Can't wait to hear more about that. Ava, tell us about you.
I am Ava Unit 3. I am on TikTok as Ava Unit 3 and on YouTube doing audio readings of sci-fi and horror audio as also Ava Unit 3. I kind of cornered the market on that name early on. I am also one of the community managers for No Panic Buttons server, helping manage his server and everything, as well as a few other servers, including GFG. I have been a DM for I have to look at my wrist. Probably around 7 years at this point. Maybe 8 if I've hit the anniversary. I'm not sure. Playing through all sorts of different systems, from Vampire the Masquerade to Apocalypse World, all the way up to Pathfinder and Shadowrun.
All right, thank you. And to Jewbacca, tell us about yourself.
Hey, so let's see. You can find me on Twitch and on Mastodon at GFG Jewbacca. I don't have a lot going on right now because I just recently moved back to the States from Sub-Saharan Africa. So I'm just trying to settle into this new house. Still waiting on our stuff to arrive. But when things are set up, you'll probably see me stream a bit more, although I have a pretty young daughter, so that's going to be few and far between. I have been playing since 2006, so that's, 18 years, I guess. But I've only been DMing since 2019, so that's 5 years at this point. Although the game hasn't been going on for a while because, well, it's kind of hard to get everything together in Sub-Saharan Africa. But I have played in a variety of systems and hope to DM in a number more. You heard me talk, you've heard Ava mention Apocalypse World, that's what I'd love to DM. And you also heard Ava mention a Discord server called GFG, of which I am one of the admins of. We're a fun gaming community of all different kinds of games. So if you want to hang out with a bunch more weirdos than just the folks that are here, hop on down. I'm more than happy to have you.
All right, thank you. And to now newly named ScreenCap, Cap, tell us about you.
Yes, the TikToker formerly known as Cap Without a Country, and also briefly known as Captivation, the the ever-changing names. ScreenCap, I think, is going to stick. We'll see. We'll hope that it does. Mostly on TikTok for at least the next 165 days, depending on how certain lawsuits shake out.
Don't remind
Also
me.
then potentially on YouTube. Yeah, right. Yeah, depending on how certain lawsuits shake out and how reliable my VPN will be.
Right.
I have been DMing for about a year and a half. So the baby of the group, and originally started with never actually DM'd it, but started prepping Magical Kitty Save the Day, because at the time my daughter was young and I was going to use that as the sort of gateway drug. But then she, listening to, talking about the games I was playing in, got interested in actual 5e, and so we just went straight for 5e.
That's awesome. I didn't know that, actually. All right, and my name's Tiffany, also known as NerdyTeacher. You can find me on TikTok. TikTok. I apologize. I've been teaching all week, and I am dead.
I feel like TikTok is a very different platform.
Can confirm.
The disembodied voice that is on my left is my husband, who is Kavash Faresh. He plays with us Saturday as well for the Mountain of Mystery game.
Poor soul.
I think
He
you can
may
find him on TikTok.
make some verbal appearances as well. But as I was saying, you can find me on TikTok, slowly going to move to YouTube as all this stuff has happened, but hoping for the best with TikTok. I'm going to take the summer to move platforms. I will still post on TikTok as long as I can, but we'll see.
Mouse to the left of me, Joker's to the right. Here I am, stuck in tick middle with you.
Lady Cass says, talk nerdy to me. I love it. Lady Cass, I'll do that. You spelled two wrong. Does that count?
No.
I'm an ELA teacher, that's my nerdy part too as well.
Ask her about the definition of a pig, though.
Shut up. Okay. Just I need the squirt bottle to keep my husband quiet. All right. All right. So we have just a general talk show today, and we are taking your questions. So if you have a question for a bunch of dungeon masters, whether you're a new DM, a veteran DM, if you have a question, let us know. Otherwise, we're just going to talk random crap until we fill up 2 hours, and it's always going to be fun. We do have one comment already, or one question already.
Excellent.
I like creating homebrew items and subclasses. What is the best way to make sure everything is balanced?
Yeah.
Trial and error, honestly.
Don't. I'm serious. Don't.
Wait,
really,
Hold
it's
up.
just what? Is that sorry?
No, you go ahead.
No, just that we get hung up on this, right? We do. We get in our heads about it. We overthink it. You're gonna feel. I would say you're gonna get in more trouble doing more math, and you're gonna get in more trouble doing more like workup about it than just kind of going by the feel. I would say probably even define it vaguely first if you need to. If you can get away with that. If you've got a player who's gonna want a little stat card and it's gonna be perfectly done in home brewery and everything's got to be look like a probably first off, I would have a serious conversation with that player, but that's another story. But getting into it, situational and contextual balance is gonna matter way more. If you have a scroll that can summon Comet, this is I think in Frostmaiden. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Contextually, it's super powerful, but contextually, you're just never going to use it because it's so devastating and what will destroy. When you have something that's not going to be usable in any sort of combat situation, is it really powerful at all, right? So I think really kind of getting your head around the whole of the thing, yes, you can benchmark, and that's if anybody really wants design advice, I would say benchmark, right? So if you're a 5th level character, you probably want nothing higher than a 3rd level effect, unless it's extremely limited, right? If you're you can kind of just do that. Look at the caster, look at the rogue. Is this doing more than a rogue sneak attack once around? You've got benchmarks built into the game already, and you can use those to balance. But I would say first and foremost, don't stress out about it too much, because you can always change it, or you can always find the context where it's not imbalanced, if that makes sense.
Go for broke, and then just deal with the consequences.
And then
Or
when it
base it
breaks,
off this-
put the pieces back together.
Yeah.
So I actually disagree slightly. There is a good way, if you are worried about balance, to make sure that your homebrew is balanced. However, it does still follow with the trial and error thing. It's actually kind of obvious if you think about it, but also not if you haven't been DMing for a while. Make your homebrew item and run it in a one-shot first.
Oh, there's that too.
Do not add it into a major campaign, or if you're going to, don't make it in a form you can't take away if you need to.
Yes.
So, items and potions and scrolls over full-on class features.
Well, I was going to say, if you create something too, the way that I'll usually create something, if I wanted to have at least a balanced feel, is I'll start by reskinning an existing item so that I sort of have a framework for the
That's what I was
mechanics
going
of
to
it.
say.
Yeah.
Go with what's already existing.
Right. If you create something that you find is way more powerful than you intended, this is a writer thing, but less is more. When you give an item, as long as your players understand there can be unknown elements of things, unknown aspects of things in advance, that's a possibility in the world, then it's like, oh, you have this weapon, and and it does this. But if it's way too powerful, then think about, okay, what have they not done with it yet? Okay, what happens when they do that? What negative effect are they going to get? Or the item belonged to a very, very powerful entity. Like, use the world to sort of check the power that you've given the item.
And create story around it too is part of what you were saying with me. When I was sorry just now, I was thinking, well, okay, this item is super overpowered. Bring in some entity that is saying, like, you were not supposed to have this thing because this was destined for some legendary figure elsewhere.
Or that was the fire comet was in proximity to the planet, and now it's back out of proximity, so the power of the item drops back down to something more reasonable.
Can I just say how much I love Avatar: The Last Airbender?
I know, right? But seriously, like, that's why I'm saying don't worry about it, because you've got sliders you can pull after the fact. So I would say go with the force of fun first, go with the momentum, what feels good, and adjust later. If you're doing homebrew, if you're doing game design, I will get with you on balance and stuff. And if you're trying to get a product together, because that's something I do professionally, that's a different thing. But because when you're doing homebrew, you're there to course correct. When you're doing game design, it has to go out the door, assuming that someone's not going to know how to do that later, and it has to be ready to go and in a much tighter box, right? But when you're doing homebrew, the force of the fun, the little cool, go with it. Just have fun, man.
All right, LoreMoth, I'm glad we got rid of that weird glitch that was happening. I've never seen
what that was.
But do you have any thoughts? Creating homebrew, how do you make sure that's balanced?
Balance is kind of a tricky thing. Lately, with a lot of rules-like games, I've been seeing a lot more that are advocating just kind of screw balance and just let the characters be big damn heroes and have fun with it. And that's kind of an approach that I'm starting to take with some of the stuff that I'm designing. Not all of it, but definitely some of it. Just let the characters be badasses. Let them have that power fantasy.
Absolutely.
Throw a Tarrasque.
Yeah.
Or just limit uses. It's super crazy, but it's got 5 uses.
Yeah.
Well, if the players go crazy, you can always just challenge them and increase the HP or the skill or whatever of their opponent.
As he said, I was gonna say, you can give them something that is very powerful, but that just gives you more leeway to make more powerful enemies.
Yep.
I'm actually I'm thinking about something that a DM that I really respect. I've been playing the Shadowrun game off and on for years and years and years.
Wow.
And with the DM, whenever what this DM has said, when we've talked about, like, all right, I want to do this one thing with how this spell or this ability could potentially work, and the DM tends to respond, all right, well, if you do that, I can do it too.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And that has made people really rethink their actions. like,
Mhm.
do I want to be doing this?
Do
Because
I?
then the DM might throw this back in my face.
Mm.
Maybe I won't.
Fair.
Yep.
And I think we had a
Also-
conversation similar to this last week, where we also brought up the idea if you give them something powerful and go, oh crap, this was too much, don't take it away from them, at least fully. We talked about how it
Right.
could break and then you have a quest on, going to fix it. Or if you take it, then now you have a quest to go get it back. If you just give it to them and then take it away, they might resent you. So,
Oh yeah.
hello, dog.
Absolutely.
Cap, I'm
That's-
sorry I cut you off.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're good. Well, and you saying that, make it something where if it's way too powerful for them, like in real life, if they're using a weapon that's too powerful, it's dangerous to them. Suddenly they have to start rolling con saves every time they use this special feature.
Oh, yeah.
There was yeah, I don't remember what the other thing was.
That's an
But
interesting idea.
Have a chance to backfire if they're not so proficient with it, if they don't really know how to use it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, actually, I will follow that up with, I think the same submitter also posted that they had a potion that would basically turn a player into basically a mortal god, but the player would pass away after the effect. So, like an oh shit escape button, you can use it, it will work, but there are severe consequences. That's not, I mean, that's an extreme idea, but it's not a bad idea to have some sort of consequence to have a powerful item.
Yeah.
Kind of dig the
Oh,
item. Like
the
like
other idea was.
last,
Oh, go ahead.
The last,
like the final option, just Hail Mary.
yeah, just having that that trump card in your bag of holding, just like, we got this if we need it.
The nuclear option.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, Critical Role, campaign 3. No spoilers, but yeah, there's always the nuclear option. But anyway, any last thoughts on this before we move on to another one?
Didn't Cap want to say
Letting your
something?
it just came back. The idea of letting your players know in like a session 0, letting them know that sort of a DM mechanic you might use is, I might accidentally give you something too powerful. And if you as a player think, man, that's really powerful, keep in mind that I will then not retaliate, but I will then course correct with something equally, but like your character would be like, this is really, really powerful. Something really powerful is connected to it. So if you're level 3 and I give you a Holy Avenger, you probably as a player are going to realize that about 5 sessions from now, something massively beyond your level is coming.
Fair. It's
Something
like playing a video
dangerous
game
is
and you
coming
find
to-
an empty room with all the ammo in it, and there's a save point. Okay, yep, something's about to happen.
Yup.
All right. Oh, and that was your first homebrew item ever? That's interesting. TH Wolf with 2 Fs, 18. We have a link in chat. It is the Paragon Blood Potion, 3.5E equipment. Very nice.
3.5. I haven't thought about 3.5 in a long while.
All right. We have a new question on the screen. What elements do you use to build a homebrew campaign? Lady Cass has been here quite a bit. She's been with us for many sessions now. That's the oh shit save, she says. Yep, that's that moment. I would love to know. Right.
Cool.
I would love to know in what specifics you're thinking of, Lady Cass. That's a very broad question, and I feel like we could talk 2 hours just on that. My husband has his hand raised, so
And I have some thoughts too.
sweetheart,
So
what
do
do you
I.
want?
So do I.
Yeah, I'm
So-
sure we all do.
I have a campaign I've been working on for a while, and I didn't really have a map design for it. And the random inspiration came where I was in one of the Facebook D&D groups I'm in, and somebody dropped their painting. And they're like, hey, this looks kind of like a thing. Make something. Some people are like, make it like a creature of it. That's the campaign map. I did some color alterations. It was like on concrete floor, I edited out the concrete floor, made that water, and I painted some things to be like mountain ridges, where you can see like the paint was raised from being peeled off the floor. That became my campaign map. Just out of nowhere, somebody dropped some paint. Now that's my campaign map.
Yep. I like the rice map idea. You take a bag of rice and drop it onto a thing and trace around. That's how you make your map.
Bag of rice, or if you have enough, the bag of dice, and you use that.
Yeah.
Yep. Meanwhile, I'm like, you guys have maps?
Jewbacca, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
I mean, have fun, man.
Okay. You know, I used to get like all in my head and do big elaborate world building, but more and more what I do is I get the players' characters first, and I build the world to those characters, because the more I do that, the more relevant those characters feel. And so more and more at this point, that is session 0 first with a broad idea. I'll have a broad idea. Like, you know, one of my settings right now is Age of Falling Stars. And the idea was there is a meteor shower that's not ending. It's just not ending and nobody knows why. And that was kind of like the beginning. It's causing weird things to happen. Some people are having like psychic powers awaken, but it's a 5e game. And I was like, go, give me your character ideas. And then when they uploaded their character ideas, I then worked narrative elements and built the world and threw in geography and the whole nine just to make those characters as relevant as possible. Not everybody can do that though, so.
Well, that is why I love all the Powered by Apocalypse games. It's because they are designed with that idea in mind, which is get the players to bring their characters in first, and then, I mean, in the Powered by Apocalypse stuff, there'll be questions that the characters frequently, at least in the Apocalypse World stuff, that the players need to. I know people have heard me talk about this before, but the players need to ask these questions of other players to help make connections and help generate the world that's happening in there, so that there's already like investment with people inside the party, already tensions around in case that kind of thing happens. That is hands down what I would do. Also, something else that I love to bring into is I'm going to paraphrase a quote, which is, you know, good artists create and great artists steal. So if there are narrative elements from other book series, especially that you really love, don't be afraid to pull some of them in. I'm not afraid to profess my love for the Discworld series.
Yeah, I love doing that a little bit, like, but I always was trying to like make it so original and like remix it to the point where it wasn't visible. But then I realized a lot of my players wanted that recognizable element. That a lot of and we're not selling this, right? This is for our players. So if they want, like, you know, to have a reference to Dragonlance or something really like recognizable, then that's actually going to heighten the experience for them. And that took me forever, way too long, embarrassingly long, as long as I've DM'd to recognize, like, oh, you want that, okay, great. Yeah.
I'll put the references in, and then I get disappointed when nobody recognizes them.
That is terrible. That is also bad.
See, I just put them in because I know I'm gonna have fun with it, and if people recognize it, great. That's why I have this universe, this like turtle that connects between all the different universes. It's the reason why I have a librarian that's an orangutan.
I kicked off an Iron Kingdoms campaign, and the first session was the bombing mission from Final Fantasy VII, and no one caught on.
Oh, that's funny.
I go the opposite route more often than not. I still use inspiration from stuff, but generally I use inspiration from stories that the people I'm playing with aren't familiar with, but I am, which you lose some of that anticipation of stuff coming up, but at the same time, I find the joy in knowing this stuff, using it, and seeing them fall in love with that same stuff the way that I did when I first experienced it, maybe a little bit differently. For example, I had an entire campaign that was built off of two ideas, one of which was an idea for a BDIG's plot that I won't go into because it's not really relevant, but the other was using the entities from the Magnus archives and going to each of the players and saying, "Hey, what's a core fear that your character has?" And
you fuck, I remember you did that to me.
tying that into like ongoing character arcs of, hey, your character's being confronted with this. They might be changed by it, and maybe not in a good way. And like having those elements of, I really like the way this story was written. I want to have my campaign have a similar feel. What parts of this can I take to make that happen?
With regards to the original question at hand, I'm a world builder. I think I said that last time. So that's going to happen regardless. But mostly it always just ends up being just for my own satisfaction. They don't care. But what I will do for the players
It's true. It's true.
So true.
I'm never going to get them to use the in-world lingo. They don't care.
Sad.
But what I will do is I will come up with kind of like, I want to say landmarks, not just like physical locations. That is a part of it, but also like landmark moments that they'll go through, landmark creatures they might experience, people they'll talk to, and I kind of build everything around that. But other than that, I am trying more and more to give the players more of a sandbox experience than, you know, we'll come up with a story, but I want them to do the story at their pace and in what route they choose.
Very cool. Cap, any thoughts?
I'm a linguist first, and so I'm also slightly lazy. The world that the kids play in is called Teloria. It is literally Earth. I took a map of the eastern United States, and whatever I found, like if they're in this town, I took the name of the town, I pulled the etymology, I went all the way back, and then I re-engineered the etymology into a new word that means the same thing.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I kept. So in their world, Baltimore is called Balesmore because it means the same thing. It's just a slight tweak on it.
Yo, I'm a linguist myself, so I hear you.
Yeah, but the way that I'll build the sort of lore is the best question I can ask myself is why? Why is this thing this? Why is this thing named this? Why is this here? One of the I came up with an entire like the nature of a town because I knew that there was a battle there and I wanted it to sound cool, and it was at the gate. It was at one of the gates of the town, and I ended up calling it the Battle of Carnation Gate. And I realized it's called that because that gate has a field of carnation flowers. And then I realized the town also has two other gates that also have fields of flowers. So it also has the Lavender Gate and it has the Gladiolus Gate. And so now I have these elements of this town based on asking, why is this thing named this? What is the story behind that?
That is awesome. That's kind of how I ended up with the map for my
Carnation.
current homebrew campaign. I'm sorry, Laura, did I cut you off?
No. I was just mumbling upon to myself. And carnage.
Yeah.
I was doing the dice map thing for a long time, trying to get inspired where, and I think that there's tutorials online on how to do this, but like you throw down a bunch of dice and D4s are mountains and D6s are rivers, and then D10s are like cities and so on and so forth. And one time I threw them all down onto like a marker board and I just started tracing out the design and marking things. And I realized that a lot of the D4s landed at the same spot. So at first I was like mountain range, but then I went, that could just be like one significant, like large mountain. Why is there a huge mountain there? And that turned into a spark that led to the lore that is the rest of my campaign. I have a player sitting next to me, but they've recently found out that that mountain is actually the hand of a god that has been petrified after a godly war.
Celestial.
I love that.
So, and they didn't even figure out until I said that the fingers are all splayed out. That creates mountain ranges, which divides the country into sections. And then once I realized that happened, I was like, okay, they all have different ecosystems because of their location, and they don't get along. They're going to have a civil war. There was a lot that came from, why is there a giant mountain? Group hydrate, thank you.
The magic powers thing that's called Bloodstone. Guess what that is?
The blood of the god. Yep.
Potential spoiler alert, but did the Eternals rip off your idea?
Wait. Second potential spoiler, although more suspension of disbelief, and you're free to not answer this because of said player sitting next to you.
Yeah.
How many months into the campaign were you before you decided that it was the hand of a god?
Oh, no, that was decided beforehand because I had the lore
Beforehand?
My BBEG do that.
Wow.
So,
Love that.
I will say though, I do not have, even now, 2 years in the campaign, I do not have all of the map figured out, but I have the
Say
BB.
that the idea's fingers kind of spread through everything.
This
She's got a
actually,
very good grip
Yep.
on the story.
so this
I like how you
actually,
touched on that. Thanks.
this actually reminds me.
Yeah. I'm noticing the puns, trust me.
Don't worry, it all comes in handy.
I know you can have a hard point with the puns though. So.
But that just asking the question why is this thing there?
Yeah,
Why
is
does
wonderful.
it work this way?
I
Why?
have sorry, go ahead. I just have an essay called "Questioning the World State," and it's basically about that, just starting with questions and asking the next question, and you can make your whole campaign just off of starting with one question. Like I had why is the moon shattered, and then just went, and like the whole campaign setting in like probably an hour. Really cool campaign setting I got out of that question. So
I am reminded of in the Shadowrun campaign that me and Jewbacca were part of for years, and he's still part of, but I've since dropped out of for personal issues scheduling. Our game master had it's based in our world, just a different version of it. So she had a map of the continental United States. And it was mostly an artistic representation. However, down in one corner we saw, hey, there's a dragon sitting on that mountain. What's its name? And that just blew up into this whole thing that turned into an entire mini campaign on its own of just one element that we spotted on it, and it just became the focal point.
Oh yeah. I had to avoid one of those situations. I paid someone to draw my map for me because I am not an artist, and they did an amazing job. My husband's laughing because he knows they had clouds that would cover up parts of it, especially like the top of the giant mountain, because canonically players cannot see the top of the mountain. That's how tall it is. One of their cloud formations though was very phallic. And I had to message them and said, could you change that? Because otherwise they're just going to reference everything on the map in relation to the penis cloud.
Thank you for that tip.
Yeah. If you put something on your map, the players
some penetrating wisdom there. Yes.
You got to be careful with that kind of thing. You'll get shafted if you're not.
Yeah.
The good news is it's pretty obvious, so I really understand the thrust of the idea.
Come on.
Are we finished yet?
I think these jokes are getting a little too lengthy.
Well, are you finished? I finished about 3 minutes ago. I don't know if you finished or not.
Hey, I don't need to hear about that one, Cap.
Hi, One Witch Lady. Welcome.
But
honestly, you want to talk about world building? I have been like whole elements have come from shitty puns. Puns are the seed. They are the turd blossom that become some of the most like Tiff's character of Fresh Prince, completely a pun and turned into this hugely emotional moment. Another one of our players
entire session that revolves around a pun.
No, we didn't have a session. We had an entire mission arc that revolved around one. I remember we finished that. She ended it with that pun, and we about blew up on her, but we all came back next week anyways.
Yes, we did.
What were you going to say, Zach?
Oh, just because they're talking about using real world maps as the references.
Yeah.
Like the US one. Originally, before I decided to go off this paint thing and be like, hey, that's unique and not to be replicated ever. There is an estimation of what eventually will be Super Pangea when the continents come back together.
Yeah, I was
That's
gonna say.
the concepts for that are kind of really badass maps.
Oh yeah.
I was about to go in the opposite direction and go like early maps.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
The ones
start
that have
going
like
like
monsters off in the ocean.
yeah. I mean, go 1400s, 11. Like go as far back as you easily can.
Yeah,
and
those
I'm
are
actually about to say like Pangea as opposed to Super Pangea.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, jeez. I'm getting chewed out in chat now. Thank you, everybody,
There,
for all the
there we go.
puns.
That's okay. That's okay. I'll pull the attention back on me. I am potentially building a character whose name is Khan. His middle initial is C, and his last name is Quences. So his name is Consequences.
Sequences.
Yeah.
I will
Please
accept
tell me that people are able to look at you and just say, God!
That's what I was
David, you
hoping
said
for,
it before
honestly.
I could.
Sequences. Yes.
I hope. Thank you, LoreMoth. I hope that we did help. She did mention getting a little bit of inspiration from Sailor Moon, so that would be very interesting to see. If you have any other specific questions, feel free to add them in. We will move on to the one that's on the screen because I'm kind of curious if we can help them here. I have a player who's always trying to create OP characters, but is not very good at it. So he will off his character. How do I stop him without railroading?
I'm gonna step in because I this comes in with a few questions. What exactly are you trying to stop him from doing? Are you trying to stop him from offing his character, or are you trying to stop him from trying to repeatedly create overpowered characters? Because there's some merit to both of those. If you're trying to stop him from creating overpowered characters, honestly, the real answer is sit down, help him create an overpowered character. You are the dungeon master. You can modulate any challenge to handle any character. There is no limit to the amount or type of enemies you can throw at a encounter. And if you are worried that you're not able to correctly figure out what that right balance is, you can always end a combat early or make a combat go on longer by having reinforcements show up or having people have a breakdown and leave the combat early. Those are options available to you. That said, help them create their OP character, ask them what their idea is, sit down and help them make it come to life. The other thing about them offing their character, my recommendation is if you have a player that likes to switch out characters a lot, whether that is because they're not happy with the one they have or because they get bored of them quickly, have them play a little bit differently, where maybe instead of them playing a consistent character within the party, they play a series of mercenaries where they've made 10 separate characters and the players come across a new one every town that they come to. You don't need to stop them from doing it. However, give them an avenue where they're not taking the spotlight to say, oh, my character's dead every other session. If all they want is to be able to swap out characters, give them a way to do that without it becoming intrusive on everyone else.
I was going to go in a similar line and be like, well, sit down with the player and say, what are your goals? What are you actually, why do you want to, like, what do you want the experience to have? Like, is it that I want to feel like a total badass in these moments and be able to mow down whatever is in front of me? All right, well, again, that's DM. You can craft the experience to help make that happen. Is it and Ava already touched on some of this. If they want to the experience, if they get bored with characters and want to be able to cycle through and try out a bunch of new stuff. I mean, he made a nice suggestion on what avenues to pursue there, but I would really talk with the player, then see what they're looking for and counter accordingly.
The original poster did specify that they're trying to stop him from offing his character, which honestly sounds like you need to have a conversation with them.
Yeah, and I'm also curious, are we talking about overpower from, is the player literally like, I want a really powerful character, or is the dungeon master like, you're trying to create a really powerful character? Like, where is the perception of overpower happening, A, but B, like, if it is about like the alcoholic syndrome, like, from playing MMOs and stuff, you can do a lot of narrative elements to just make sure, like, I have a lot of problems with that as a player because I'm a DM almost always. So when I get to play finally, I have like 28 characters I want to play. So sometimes I ask the DM, like, what can I do to facilitate this? And I'll play a character, like I just played a character named Majok who had a mask that would allow him to channel different ancestors depending on which mask he put on. And his class build would change every time he put on a different mask. So it was the same character with different abilities.
Oh, hey.
And I got to pull in all these ancestral backstories. So I had like the most backstory ever. Probably, like, if anything, that was the bigger concern, that like I was taking up a lot of narrative screen time, but as long as I minimized my like in-game presence, it was fine. And I got to play a whole bunch of builds, and oddly enough, it kind of undermined the meta of like the group power build because people couldn't rely on me to take care of something for their characters. Like, so if I had a healing build, I kind of had to be the off healer because I couldn't be the reliable healer. If I was, the buff character, it was a nice to have, but it wasn't a reliable to have. And I think that was a very fun challenge because a lot of my groups like optimizers too. So
yeah. The thing that gets me is that they say they create OP characters, but they're not very good at it, so they want to off them and start over. This just sounds like somebody who plays Mario Kart, and then when they lose, they throw away the controller and blame the controller.
Right.
My questions were sort of like with the not good at it part. Was it that they were not good at the mechanical min-maxing, and therefore the characters weren't as powerful as they wanted? And that's what it sounds like. And then they tried to play it, and they're like, this isn't as badass as I want. So I want to kill him and maybe get that epic martyr moment, and then like try to cook up another one. So it sounds like it's the mechanics they're having a little bit of trouble with.
They might need some help. Yeah. Go ahead.
I would say that there is, and you are the DM of your own table. You can handle this however you want. I don't know your relationship with these people, but there is a mote of concern whenever I hear someone say that they have players, or a player says that they want to make an OP character and that they're throwing away their characters a lot. I would worry about what they think OP means in like, there is optimized where the character is doing good, or there's the extremely poor option of they're not happy with the character because their character's not the Mary Sue getting all of the spotlight. Right. Which can, if they ever successfully pull that out, that can kill a campaign.
Yeah. Welcome to main character syndrome city.
Yeah.
So that might be something you want to have a serious conversation with them about in terms of what they actually want out of it.
And what I'd hate most is if you already incorporated the backstory and then they kill their character. And
that's another big problem too.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like the fact that they want to off their character is their sort of internal compensation for, I'm not getting the big moments that I want playing the character, so I will compensate by getting a big moment with the character dying, and then make the next character. Like, yeah, it's like wanting those big. So maybe that's the idea, is like finding out if that's the core of it. Do you want big character? Do you want big story moments? That we can build those non-mechanically. You build a character, and then I'll build a story that gives them the spotlight.
That's why I said in the first place, what's the player looking for? Right.
Well, and whether or not that overpower is defined by the DM or the player. I mean, I've never had a player come up and be like, "I'd like to play a really overpowered character." So that that makes me really wonder who's defining overpowered character. Myself.
LoreMoth, do you have anything to add?
Nothing that's already it hasn't already been said.
That's fair. I hope that helps. It just kind of sounds like you need to have a conversation with them, and it's not going to be easy to do, but we've all had those people that we've had conversations with. In my last campaign, I had a player that wanted to bring in a new character every week or so, but he absolutely loved to create the characters, but he wasn't offing them. We just had a continual like rotation of NPCs that he would play, and honestly that was kind of fun because he, you know, added more lore to my story without having to do any work. So that was intense but fun. If someone's doing something that's dragging down the fun at the game for you, you need to talk to them about it, I think.
I like the idea of, oh, you made that character. You don't want to play them anymore? Mine now.
I'm going to add it to the BBEG
I'm just going to
list.
add that to this. And honestly, as a player who I've had a DM, like I made a character in the Shadowrun campaign that happened in a side game that wasn't the main story. It happened in Toronto as opposed to Denver, where the main campaign was happening, and the DM came to me and she said, "Hey, I really like this character. Can I use them?" And I went, "Fuck yeah, please, by all means." And then, of course, set up a moment where the character that I normally play met this other character that I created, and I was like, "God damn you! I love this."
So remember, folks, if you don't see the body, they're not dead.
They're dead.
Oh, 100%.
If they come see the body, they still not be dead. They can
That's
get
entirely
cloned and resurrected, and
Oh yeah.
The body was a mimic.
Simulacrum.
yep.
All right. Well, let's move on to a happier topic. We don't have any more chat questions right now. Chat, you're welcome to add a question in. There's a link in chat right now. But I want to kind of go off of a conversation we had previous to the stream, but also to help out with the homebrew element. Where do we find inspiration for our campaigns, our stories, our monsters, our NPCs? Where do you find inspiration, whether accidentally or intentionally?
I'm terrible at intentional inspiration, but a lot of it I'll get listening to music, playing games, reading books. I mean, you know, the normal sources. Or sometimes I just get ideas by sketching and drawing and playing around with what pops out of my head.
I have found the most inspiration for monsters from trolling through art stuff and just pictures that I find online or illustrations, and seeing some creature and being like, oh, that'd be fun to stat out.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing a picture of a creature that already exists in some mythology and going, ooh, what could that do? Absolutely.
Particularly magic cards. Magic
yeah,
card
that's a
art,
good one.
statting those out as creatures is so
God.
interesting.
This is making me feel like glad that I kept all my cards.
I love Magic so
I love
much.
that game, although it's gone downhill in my mind, but
yeah.
still.
We could talk for hours about that subject.
Oh, yeah.
But what I was going to go is take a page from the MCU, which is, you know, they always say MCU movies are genre movie times superhero movie. So there's mystery movie times superhero movie, comedy times superhero movie, you know, space adventure times times superhero movie. Same thing. So like, you know, when I talked about that Age of Falling Stars thing, I basically did kind of a superhero times that with I had the thing called the Emergent, which are basically mutants like the X-Men happening in a D&D world, and they were caused by the Starfall event, but basically it's the ambient sonic energy of the world rising to the point where anybody who has sonic potential is starting to manifest their abilities. And so it was this, okay, what happens in a D&D world where, you know, these people just start showing up and they don't have ties to religion or wizardry or anything. There's no established anything everything, and they're suddenly disrupting the power balance everywhere all over the world. And it made a really crazy campaign setting very quickly, and very different feeling. Although obviously, all I basically had to go back to do is like, okay, what was another story that happened in the X-Men, and then boom, here we go. So I have, instead of Mr. Sinister, I have Mind Flayers affecting them. Instead of whatever it is, I have Inare, who's basically Magneto, but for them, she's like a supremacist, and so like all these different things just very easily fell into place, but they're all different because of that remix element of combining them with the fantasy world. So
asking questions, like that is the through line that I'm seeing through all of this, is a little thing. I mean, as we were talking, I had this this thought of like, well, at some point I'd be interested in doing a 5e low magic campaign, and my first thought was, well, what got rid of the magic?
Yeah.
And like I know that's gonna catapult. Like, did a god decide to swallow things up?
Of course, as a player, the first thing I think is, how can I fix this?
That too. Yeah. How can and ask too another question of, well, can it be reversed? And just like and for world building, just keep asking questions of this world, and through the answers, there's creation.
Yeah.
Your biggest tool for expanding out the story of your world is asking why.
Yeah, that is the biggest one. Why and how.
My favorite inspiration is mistakes. And I did it. My most recent video, I did it. So my most recent video on TikTok, it's the first time I've ever done one about my process, because my videos are always one take, but it's always the last take. And it almost always takes 14, 15, 16 bad takes. So for this most recent video, I took all of my bad takes and I clipped them together, where each clip ends with the mess up and then it cuts to, so it actually showed my process. And I deliberately wrote a line where I said all of my fumbles, blunders, and miscalculations. And I wrote it specifically because I knew it would be a tongue twister. And I kept saying all of my fumbles, blumbers. And now I have the word blumbers. And so I have an accidental word. That's that linguist brain. Is I'm like, okay, what's a blumber? What's a blumber? I accidentally created mosquito dactyls.
God, no.
Yeah, it was a giant mosquito outside of a window, and I was like, my kid was like, it's the size of a pterodactyl. And I was like, yeah, it's a mosquito dactyl. And she was like, oh my God, no. And I was like, oh my God, yes. I need a mosquito dactyl, yeah. Is it a pterodactyl the size of a mosquito, or a mosquito the size of a pterodactyl? These are the questions you have to ask.
I do. Yes. I love playing with language. I love, as someone who has studied a number of languages at this point, like understanding the intricacies of what goes on inside of prefixes and stuff like this, just for starters, and then going and diving into etymology. I think so many things can be, created and played around with. Like, what does it mean to be gruntled? You know what it means to be disgruntled?
Right.
I have no idea. Now I'm thinking, well, is there a thing called a gruntle?
Whelmed.
Is there a creature called a gruntle, and what is it like?
A gruntle? Is it? Yeah, a gruntle is an element of a creature that you had to go collect that item to create a magic thing, and once you took it away, that creature is now disgruntled. You have removed the gruntle; it has been disgruntled.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like thank you, Kat.
I hate it.
Like, it's play around with all of this stuff.
Grundle's now a creature. Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to see art and stats of a gruntle.
Gruntle and a blumber
in 1 week.
Just random folk sayings. It's like, remember, you can be overwhelmed, and you can go over the whelm. You can go under the whelm, but you can't go through the whelm.
The whelm,
right? Yeah, exactly. Like, just play around with all different aspects of language. I think you'll have a lot of fun with it.
One of the things that I wanted to do when I started my second campaign was I wanted to create my own world, and with that, its own pantheon. I teach mythology as an elective, so I wanted to challenge myself to create the pantheon. And what happened was I started to get all these cool ideas for different gods and their backstories, their names, and I would get attached to them. And I would realize, okay, there's way too many. So I had to, push some to the side. And then I started to ask the question why, or what would happen if. And then I started to think about, well, okay, what if there are these gods? What if there are these gods that have been forgotten? They used to be popular, and for one reason or another, through the years, they've fallen out of popularity. And a god's power comes from its, followers.
How desperate the book Small Gods by Neil Gaiman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How desperate would a god get?
American Gods, my bad.
How desperate would a god get to, stay alive, basically?
Right.
So I have forgotten gods in my world that are turning evil because followers that pray to them out of fear are still followers. So they become.
There could be your answer to the character who's trying to make an overpowered character. You are a god who has been forgotten, and your goal is to reassert your godhood. That is your quest.
Yeah.
I like it.
Ive Knight says that they like your art, LoreMoth.
Oh, thank you. Did it myself.
One other thing that I do, and I want to challenge everybody here to do one with me, is just a random word generator. I will pull up a random word generator, get one word out of that, and then start thinking, if I want like a creature, I want to make a new creature, I'll take that one word and I will just go off of that. For example, Cap, give me a number between 1 and 10.
9.
9.
That was the wrong answer.
9.
Everyone says 7. I'm going with 9.
Wait, 7 of 9? She's here.
Your word is coin. COIN.
COIN.
Now, I'm thinking, like, I want a new monster for my homebrew world, or creature. Doesn't have to necessarily be a monster, but it has something to do with a coin. Now, obviously, my brain goes right to the mimic babies that are coins that I've seen all over that, right? But I want something a little different, maybe something that feeds on coins, or something that is small as a coin, but is still very powerful. This is where I start.
You gave this word to a linguist.
Yep.
I am imagining an itty bitty parakeet, and it can mimic words perfectly. It can mimic people's voices.
Okay.
But when it says a word, it makes that thing. It coins that word into a thing.
I like it.
I like it too. Yeah, no doubt.
Initially, my brain went to the dragon. That's horde is one coin, and the dragon follows the coin. But yeah, no, the creature. Yeah. That's a thing somebody else already did. But yeah, it's a creature. It's probably, it looks like a normal bird. We'll call it a minor bird. We'll develop the name from there. But it's like a minor bird that, and it has to be that it's mimicking the voice of a spellcaster. So like if I'm a rogue and it mimics my voice, nothing happens because I have no magic. But if it mimics the voice of a sorcerer or a warlock or a wizard, and it says the word,
Fireball.
It coins that thing into reality.
Oh, that's dangerous.
That's extremely dangerous.
Just train your parakeet to say fireball on command.
You're right, yeah.
No one say nuclear fission nearby.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, maybe it has to be physical objects. So it could
is a physical object.
Well, yeah.
And here I'm thinking,
Well, that's a process.
Like, where does it get the energy for this? How many times can it do it?
See, yep. It can do it 1 time per long rest. It can do it 3 times per long rest. It can do it a number of times up to your proficiency bonus, its proficiency bonus.
Before you learn the name of the
There's there's a really interesting thing. That it says a word, but it has no concept of the meaning of the word. So it makes thing. But like, is it a thing that you recognize as the thing, or is it like some horrific version because it doesn't know what that thing is?
Or is it like the thing?
Well, Lady Cass said piggy bank, so instead of it coming out with a piggy bank full of coins, it's going to create a building full of pigs.
Or is
You want to
I
draw a
like that.
pig? You know,
I'm
deposit
not
it?
mad. I'm not mad about this.
It creates an economy whose currency is pigs.
Pigs.
God, it just creates a whole city.
It's a pig mimic that just spews baby coin mimics.
This sounds like a fantastic idea, and immediately my gremlin brain was like, don't give it to the players. They will use speak with animals.
Oh god.
Mhm. Yep.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh.
That's another.
Are we
good
talking about the
point.
pig or are we talking about the minor bird?
The Minotaur bird. They will
Cool.
use
And
speak
then-
with animals.
So
Thank
you
both
make it an
Bob.
aberration.
How
You make it an
possessive is the
aberration.
animal?
Smart.
But if you make it an aberration, they can't talk to it because it's not an
Good
animal.
point.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, when you say minor bird, I'm thinking, how possessive is this thing? Is this bird saying mine, mine, mine?
Wow, that was awesome. All right,
So-
hey, 7th.
Mhm.
Pick a number between 1 through 10. That's not 9.
4.
4.
Not
What's that
7?
answer?
Not 7.
Ooh. All right, this one's a verb, so it's a little different.
Okay.
But I'm curious. Redeem.
Oh, redeem.
Redeem. I like the. And we're talking a monster?
That's where I'm starting, but go where your brain goes.
No, I do kind of like this because I kind of like. Okay, you know, you could kind of have a. We don't see enough of the neutral fiend analog, right? There used to be the real Monty. There used to be something like that, and I like the idea of like a creature that is going around and trying to balance the world. And they probably have castes because that's how these outsiders usually work in D&D. So there's probably a redeemer caste and a like corruptor caste, but that they're actually trying to adjust the cosmic balance. So I like the idea of the redeemer being like a neutral creature that is trying to instigate a journey of redemption for something. So you could use this creature probably to like either take a PC like your Oathbreaker or whatever it is, and that could be kind of their quest giver type person who's like trying to like integrate them into like a journey of redemption. But they also could get some really weird stuff where they're trying to like redeem the bad guy from the character's like thing before they can be defeated. So they almost become an antagonist of the party because they are trying to be like, no, this creature needs to be brought back to the light, and I can't let you kill it before I can get it to come back to this side
I
of things.
can fix him.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just getting ready to type it out in the chat.
It's the
Top
opposite
of his head,
document.
ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
Yes.
But then
I
you can
actually, yeah, no, sorry, I have a totally different spin.
Yeah, I
Okay.
like that, but like, I'm just saying, like the idea of like kind of like a new type of bad guy, especially when you have your early game and they've like killed the evil duke or he's on his knees and whatever, and suddenly this creature shows up as like, no, you can't kill him because I'm gonna make sure he finds his way back to the light, and then they have to have this whole arc where they fight the Redeemer monster. I think that would be super dope.
Oh, jeez.
So I've already told you that I like the Discworld. And when you started talking about balance, I thought about the auditors. For people who aren't familiar with the auditors in Discworld, their whole thing is that they're trying to bring things into perfect balance, and the existence of life brings things constantly out of balance because of what people do. And so their goal is to bring things into perfect equilibrium, including things like, entropy. And so, if they're trying to redeem the universe from chaos, then these are the most BBEG bastards you can possibly fathom and try and take on. If they're looking to tackle the forces of the universe and wrench them to their will, this is terrifying.
Holy cow.
Ooh.
I wouldn't want to take on those redeemers.
I'm kind of with Eye of Night a little bit, because Knight in the comments said something you turn in for full payment. I was thinking of that version of the word of redeem.
Redemption? Like
Yeah,
coupon?
I had been thinking that too.
Exchanging something for something else.
Merchants.
Of like a creature that will go around taking hoards and treasures and trinkets and turning them into things.
Well, that sounds like a fey creature. It's
Oh,
all
yeah.
about making
That's
deals
totally
and
something.
exchanges.
That's where my brain
But
was
it doesn't
going.
know the value of things, so it might go.
Just randomly like trades.
No. I
It
would
might
say
be coins. It just goes, ooh, shiny.
I would say one step further because I like that as an idea but for the narratives that I spin, I would say the value is subjective based on the person that is giving them the item. How much do you value this thing?
It goes around, it finds plots of land, and then it creates coupons for those plots of land, and it gives you plot coupons.
Mm-hmm. Which
Don't talk about land bastards that way.
No. See, things that the creatures that go around taking plots of lands and selling them to other people. Yeah, we're gonna call those land sharks now.
Not
A
slumlords.
magical slot machine where the reels change at random and gives out random items.
Interesting. Cass said something in chat. I want to scroll up to it real quick. Redeem is a magic wisp-like creature that you have to catch unordered to get a chance to save someone, but it doesn't always save them the way you think.
I
It's got some
immediately
monkey paw
thought of
energy.
Doctor Who.
Yeah.
She has left the library. She has been saved.
Mm-hmm.
Saved to data.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Ooh,
They have been saved from the fire, but they drowned.
Oh no.
The story of the dude that got scooped up in by the fire helicopter and then dumped into a wildfire.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh my gosh.
I did not know that was a thing when I said what I said.
that happened. He was scuba diving, got picked up to put out a fire.
Oops.
Mm-hmm.
Ah,
no.
What a way to go.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
LoreMoth, how about a number 1 through 10? I'm going to give you a whole new list so you can pick any number you want.
Give me a good 5.
5. 1, 2, 3,
Are
4.
you sure?
I'm going to skip that one only because the word is
You chose
cancer.
poorly.
I don't want to trigger anyone, so we're going to skip the word cancer. I'm going to re-roll here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh. Oh, okay. Unlike. U-N-L-I-K-E. Unlike.
Oh.
One might be difficult. Let's see.
Unlike like dissimilar.
Yeah, that's where my brain's currently
Unlike,
going.
like, different?
A thing
Unlike
comes and takes
unlike like a creator did something to get themselves canceled, and I'm like, unlike.
Unlike.
I want to hear what
Unlike
Moth has to
as
say,
in
but
I
I have one on this
Sherry?
too. I have one on this when we're ready, but
All
the
right.
gears are
I'm
already
excited.
driven.
But I want Moth to
Wait
go
a second. Is an
Yeah.
unlike the? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
Moth, you have the floor unless you, or Lore, you have the floor unless you want someone to start you off.
I'm thinking.
Go for it.
it.
Let's see. Unlike. What's the definition of unlike? Different from, not similar to. Okay. Dissimilar
gonna
or
say-
different from something
Okay.
else. Okay.
Follow me here. Okay, we've got the cupid's arrows, but they're the opposite.
Oh.
Get shot with the arrow to immediately hate the person that you're currently viewing.
That has so much political intrigue potential.
oh, just also like
Mm.
personal though too, like kings and queens and stuff, like suddenly
Oh,
hating each
yeah.
other. The drama. Oof.
Yeah,
You could
they
just
immediately
stabilize-
become
you-
the
Yeah.
single person that you hate most in the entire world.
Yikes.
That's how a rogue destabilizes an entire kingdom in one night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rogue's going to use it to take over the kingdom. The barbarian's going to use it to start a tavern brawl.
Correct. Yep.
Depends on
See,
who
my
gets
brain-
who gets the arrow.
My brain went off what Eva said, and I was like, wait, is an unlike just the opposite of a mimic?
See, that's where I'm going.
So-
I had the idea of doppelgangers that are opposite doppelgangers. So they're you know you're gonna get something
they're
that
perfect
looks
foils.
dissimilar, but yes, have like retro abilities. So if you're a cleric, they're like an evoker, and they're maybe like reverse gender versions of you, or whatever. I don't know. Just you could do all sorts of weird stuff with it.
Throughout the
So,
course of this, I've been
the-
expanding out on it.
Opposite of a mimic would be like a ball of flesh and teeth that stores
Ew.
treasure.
Ew.
So it's the
No,
most
it's a
disgusting
person
bag of
that
holding?
eats your loot.
I was going in a similar vein to LoreMoth, but I was more thinking like, okay, unlike, that means that they're taking anything of joy, anything of liking something in general, and removing that feeling and that desire. I'm thinking of like a creature that feeds on happiness, feeds on joy, and just leaves the person a hollowed out husk. Of like, it's essentially like a depression monster.
So
I was
known
just
some
gonna
people
say,
like
you
that.
didn't.
Daily life, got it.
Yeah,
You didn't
yeah,
have-
I've had some of those people in my life.
So retail work, okay.
Yeah.
So wait. My idea on it. How many of you are familiar with Legend of Zelda?
Yeah.
A bit.
Okay. Do you know what a like is?
Unfortunately.
Okay. For the uninitiated, a like is this big undulous thing that will eat you whole and usually eat your items if you get captured by it, usually your shield. However, in my mind, I heard the unlike, and my mind went down two different paths that have converged. A monster that can be found in deep caverns and depths that will eat lost adventurers and travelers and then produce copies of them that are just slightly off in the uncanny valley.
Ooh. Like the only
I
thing
don't-
that changes is their eye color, and you have to ask your players, okay, what color was, the barbarian's eye? Wait,
Yeah.
green or blue? You
Oh,
should know this.
oh. No.
How did he come back to
I like
life?
that idea, I
Screw
like
that.
that
Why is
idea.
his nose 3 centimeters to the left?
Am I making it a little bit too obvious that I like horror themes?
Their neck
No.
is like 3 inches too long.
Ugh.
I also went a little like meta narrative with it. It's an unlike is a mimic, but it can mimic it's a doppelganger. It can mimic any monster, but it can only mimic the version of it from a previous edition of D&D. So it can only mimic a 40, 3, 5.
First edition Beholder, everyone.
Oh no. Remember, folks, each edition of Beholders has one more eye.
Oh, jeez.
I actually also had an idea for the unlike. A fey creature, kind of what popped in my head is kind of like Two-Face from Batman, but it's like you have the fair fey, then you have like a grotesque thing, but it's like splitting from itself.
Oh, okay.
So it's unlike its own self, and it is, and under certain conditions that I can't think of off the top of my head, it is always trying to split from itself, and there would be a condition that actually could make it separate.
Wow.
So Superman 4 was it?
You shut your mouth.
I think it's just as well that we didn't go with cancer anyway, because everything always evolves into crabs.
Yeah, that was where my
God damn it.
I'll try and make that difficult.
Fucking carcinization. It's a
A
carcination.
crab leviathan.
Oh no.
Or
I'm
a crab.
trying to imagine like a bunch of crab leviathans doing the crab rave.
Or what
Like
if it's
out
a bunch,
there churning the ocean doing the crab rave.
or it's a bunch of crabs that try to take forms of other things. So like you have the 3 kobolds and jacket, but instead it's like crabs. Like the one Spider-Man that's actually made of spiders, but it's crabs, and they'll make like a freaking T-Rex.
Or are they trying to make you into a crab-like thing? Because they
Well,
recognize that
no,
in the end,
He's
everything
just
wants to
funny.
become like a crab. You will join us. You will become one of us.
I mean, if you are what you eat, I'm already a crab. So
This
You're
is true.
kind of crabby.
Ava, you're bouncing up and down. Do you have
Yep.
something you want to add, or do you want a word?
I would love a word.
All right, 1 through 10, please.
Give me a 2.
I don't know where you're gonna go with this one. Ooh,
Challenge accepted.
we just had a conversation in chat that might work with this. Assessment.
Ooh.
Oh no.
as someone who's just gone through state testing as a teacher, I hate this word right now. But
I
assessment.
don't blame you.
I think, isn't that just an auditor?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I'm thinking like
Yeah, it is.
I'm thinking like the auger of the universe coming and inspecting your shit and wanting like validation for everything you've ever done and why. And just being
no.
the ass.
I
So
already have
you're
the
an assassin rogue, but you never use the assassinate feature. Why?
I already have the answer for it, and it's a gag item.
I got better about it.
This is a gag item, so it is a magical item. You pass it out to your players physically. It is a trivia quiz, and the amount of points that they get on it determines what level spell it is.
Nice. Okay.
I like it. I like it. Amazing.
There's so many
When you
questions
said it's
answered in this range.
When you said it's a gag item, I was like, that's not the kind of game we're playing here.
No.
Only if you're not trying hard enough.
That's that is a session 0 conversation.
Right.
Fair.
The book that was held in my bookstore in college. There's a D&D for perverts.
Oh,
BDS DMD.
that was actually a book.
No, it was the tome of Forbidden something something something. It was a third-party D&D.
Tome of Erotic
3.5 book.
Pleasures.
Yes.
Oh,
Those
I
were
know
Something
those.
like that.
that one is such an infamous third
Infamous,
party.
like, and got so many swords in trouble too.
Oh,
Yeah, I couldn't believe we carried it. It was definitely shrink-wrapped, but...
That is
Yeah,
one of
those
those
books are good
third-party
when it comes
books
to
that
strength.
everyone knows about, but almost no one has actually seen.
Mm-hmm.
Assessment. My mind goes directly to the mythology story of the Sphinx, and the
Ooh.
trivia, or Monty Python, and answer these questions 3.
It's Celestial Alex Peck.
I think of who's Grandmaster from the Elders Universe from Marvel. He tests people, the game stuff to see if they're up to like the cosmic challenges of the universe. So I kind of see a monster that's assessing the quality of heroes. Again, probably a neutral monster. You can't tell I like neutral monsters that are harder to just ethically pass judgment on because they're actually like trying to do something vital to the universe's function.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, in the Eternals, wasn't that what Arishem was? Arishem at the
I mean,
end.
yes, the judge, yeah.
Mhm.
That's like if you want the follow up to that, they just did a big crossover event in the Avengers last year. I think it was. It's pretty fun.
Okay. Yeah.
Was
Also,
something
shows
that
X-Men a lot. Sorry.
weighs... Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, no, something like the oracles from Neverending Story that weighs
Love them.
weighs your heart, and basically everyone's found wanting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hey, Jewbacca, give me a number.
Oh boy. Let's go with 8.
Well,
Uh-oh. Never good reactions from a DM.
number 9 was punish. So that's quite on the nose.
Oh, I know what
So
that
close.
is.
So
I know
close.
what that is. I'm gonna double down on that one. We'll go back around to punish, guys.
But
What's
number
8?
8 is pastel.
Pastel.
So my mind is going in 2 opposite directions right now.
Yeah, that's a hard one for me.
So, ooh. Feel
I'm
free
going
to
back to
keep those.
Cass wanting to do the Sailor
Pastel is
Moon
hard,
campaign.
but
I've got one. If no one else is ready yet.
my mind goes to Easter, or pastel colors that come out during that time.
Well, I just like the idea of that analog because, of course, I went to Easter too, and I was like, well, okay, what's the analog of the Easter Bunny in my world? And so, like, kind of running that through kind of that filter to get to some new type of thing. So, is it, something like a colorful snake that's like a, brightly colored or whatever, and to get that kind of whimsy feeling, we get some Feywild vibes in there.
Mm-hmm.
I would go nuts with that. I'd probably go holiday more than I would go monster, though.
Sure.
Yeah, anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jewbacca.
Magic item
No, it's cool.
festival.
I mean, so all right, I'm gonna bring in some of the strange languages I've looked into. So, El or Ale in Hebrew means God, or is one of the names of God.
Okay.
Is
So
it a forgotten god?
Well,
A
so
god
what does
from
it
the
mean to go
past?
past El?
Past L.
Past
Ooh,
the
What does it
trans
mean to
god.
go beyond divinity?
Ooh,
Trans-divine.
I like this. Oh, I did not expect
Damn,
this.
wait,
Etymologists,
and on
linguists.
Easter Bunny,
Love it,
past the
love
bun.
it.
So I'm thinking, is this what? Now I'm thinking, since I'm thinking past divinity or going beyond it, now I'm thinking of the Silmarillion.
Oh, wow.
What makes
Because-
gods? What creates gods?
Yeah, exactly. We have Eru, the one, and then you had that creating the rest of Valar. And so I'm thinking, is this the actual, the Ur deity, the Ur creator surrounding everything that has gone on in this universe that they're existing in? Is the goal to find that which is past Ale?
Dang.
Love it.
I don't know how my brain would never have gotten there. Holy cow.
And it's a state. It's not a thing. It's not like
Or is
a
it
creature
state
that
of
would like.
being?
I was gonna say it's not a creature that exists. It's any creature can achieve it.
Now I'm thinking of, in Terry Pratchett and his whole series, they had, so like a person could be sober, and then they go too far, they could become drunk. And then, but what if they went the other way? What if they became, it's K-N-U-R-D, which I pronounced as nerd. And it's like seeing deeper into the fabric of what's going on, of society and reality, and like that can, and so in order to go from nerd to sober, one has to drink.
Yeah. Isn't that what happened to the Joker? Isn't that one of the arguments of the Joker in DC
that's
is
how I
actually
look at it.
super sane? Yeah.
Yeah. I would describe actually a lot of the Joker's behavior as nerd.
See, when you said eggs, my brain went. I heard Easter Bunny, and then eggs, and then my brain went to dragon eggs, and I went, "Wait, is a pastel just a offspring of a Harangon and a dragon?"
That's a good one.
Ooh, interesting. What would a pastel dragon's, abilities be? Ooh, something to think about. Stop making puns. Night.
Oh, yeah. Well, going back to Punisher or punishing, it's a creature that actually inflicts damage by making puns.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, it's a bard with vicious mockery.
And the bard.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
My nemesis.
I pontificate.
My mind for pastel went to the meme image that came out a couple years ago where the Easter eggs were xenomorph eggs, and the xenomorph had the freaking Easter bunny rabbit ears on it. Just like some grotesque monster that just lurks in the shadows and just like leaves like these bright, colorful traps.
Well, see, now I wonder when
I like it.
When Nerdy said about killing time, time is the ultimate thing beyond all things. Is time the thing that is past L?
Oh yeah.
Is time itself? And I'm not talking about the god of time. I'm talking about time as an aspect. Yeah, as an aspect of reality.
It's funny because a student I had when I was teaching a confirmation class, she had said, "Well, God is like time." I said, "What? Please say more." And her thoughts were, "Well, it's always around us, it's always present, but at some moments we're more aware than others." Well, shit. I think he got me there. So
from the mouths of babes.
Yeah.
It makes me think about a set of pastel sticks that can. Maybe these were the pastel sticks that were used by whatever the creating force was to draw the world into existence. And
like
so
that.
it still contains that same power, that same ability.
That
Maybe
aspect
muted.
of
It's the
creation.
magic sidewalk talk of creation.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and I love that idea because it implies that gods are not themselves powerful, that the pastel is the thing that is the power, and a god
the
is just a creature
stars?
that found it and used it,
Or
and that anything
another-
has the power of creation.
Or perhaps
And the
it could be
stars
also
are the
just-
dust left over from the sidewalk chalk of creation.
Mhm.
I like that. I mean, of course, and then if, going and circling back to what we said earlier, well, how did this God gain possession of these pastels? Did the god fashion them themselves? Did the god find them? Did the god steal them?
I love these why questions so much.
Right.
Like I was gonna mention earlier,
Those are the
that's,
lower questions.
that's kind of how the campaign I told you about the paint thing is going, because I'm playing like Tears of the Kingdom, I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn. There's like all these machines around, and I'm like, that'd be cool in D&D. I want some like robot dinosaurs or whatever the hell. Why would those be in D&D?
To answer your question, Baka, God is a 6th grade art student working on their project for school.
Oh,
They're working on their project.
yes. I am
So-
such a fan of this. Like, wait, I'm trapped in a simulation and I didn't know it.
Yeah, to go
A
completely
child
to go
simulation,
completely
too.
off the rails. Yeah, I
Freaking
had a
love that moth.
concept. To go completely off the rails, I had this. It's that idea, but I had this concept for a sitcom called Eden, and the idea was going to be that it was Adam, Eve, God, and the devil in the Garden of Eden between the moment of creation and the moment of the fall. And the running joke is always that the serpent, it's not say, but the serpent shows up in every episode trying to tempt them, and they're like, no, and it's what they did between creation. But at the very, very beginning, it had this weird lost moment where Adam opens his eyes, and in the background, you hear like children's voices. And the moment that Adam opens his eyes, all the voices are like, shh, shh, shh. It's awake. It's awake. And the idea was that God is these kids playing in a sandbox. And they accidentally created life. They accidentally created the universe. That the universe is the world of their imagination. And they're aware when something in that universe becomes aware, they're like, that's weird. That's not supposed to happen. Get rid of it. And then they're like, no, we can't get rid of it. It's the what? No.
Is that where the
That's sixth grade
sandbox
art.
homebrew comes from?
It's the sandbox. Yep, it's the sandbox campaign.
Your initial pitch, though, did make me think 2 guys, a girl, and a pizza snake.
Yeah.
Well, okay then.
Is that calzone?
Zach, give me a number. Without looking at my screen, give me a number.
Oh no.
I know. Give me a number. I need
Hey.
to re-roll because 8 was pastel. So, okay. Your word is deficiency.
Oh no.
Is that a new stat?
This is
It's a
about to get
deficiency
personal.
bonus? It's not a proficiency bonus?
Oh, I love that. You've gained a deficiency bonus. Anything you aren't at proficiency with now, you are deficiency
You
with.
have a deficiency. bonus.
You can elect to have expertise in one thing if you take deficiency in something else.
Ooh, that's good. That's real
Negative
good.
modifier to it.
That's,
But wait, you have
that's
a
a white
negative
wolf rule.
intelligence
Yeah.
modifier.
Yeah, I'm with
And
you,
you have
Lore.
deficiency. Does that turn it into a positive? 2 negatives make a positive?
Feels like White Wolf.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's a creature that if it attacks you and you fail some sort of save, it inverts one of your modifiers. So you're a rogue, you've got a +5 dex. It poisons you, and now you have a -5 dex.
I was actually like thinking that, but I was trying to think of what it would look like.
Well, -5
Hmm.
dex would be death, wouldn't it? Because the opposite of 20 is 0, isn't it? Or would it be 1?
Could be 10
Well,
though.
it would-
Hold on, wait.
It
No,
wouldn't
wait.
invert, it would not invert your score. It would just temporarily invert the modifier.
Just make you really bad at what you do for whatever.
Really
reason.
clumsy.
You're just real clumsy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking this like
try and walk in your face plant?
I'm thinking this. I have two ideas. One is just a cursed item where, one, either way, both these ideas they like nullify your best feature. So
Yeah.
you're a Goliath barbarian. You find this badass axe. Fuck yeah, let's go. And then your strength is -1.
Oof.
That would be fun.
So you could barely drag the thing, and that depends on if if you're on sand, you might be able to drag this thing. Otherwise, there's too much friction in the ground. You can't even freaking drag the damn thing. It's useless to you.
What would be fun to do is then take that as well, and if you have a negative modifier and if the stat normally inverts that as well. So you can be like, oh man,
there's something wise
I try. I can normally usually drag this thing, but I hold this thing up well, and I'm just dragging it through the sand. But
I was thinking that, but I didn't want it to be like it boosts their wisdom to the point where they are aware of what's going on, so they immediately drop it.
But it's a curse. You gotta get rid of the curse.
I now have a silver tongue.
My charisma's fantastic.
Or I was thinking like some ghastly specter that would just whether it's like in a haunted mansion or something. I don't really know.
People want to see the puppy.
Always.
But this ghastly specter that might haunt an area or whatever, and it would come in at night and take something from you. Maybe not like a stat thing, but not also not suck your soul, but
May I have your attention?
Maybe like reduce your muscle mass or something.
It's an antimatter creature. It's a creature from the mirror universe.
It has a little goatee.
Yeah.
Dustin said
it's you, but from
efficiency bonus. Ouch. I had something. My brain was immediately going to a vitamin deficiency. I can talk, and that made me think of creatures that are deficient in something. They need something, and they go on the search for that specific thing. It's kind of like a mix of a hulking creature and a stalker that need one particular thing, and they're on the search for it. And my mind's working with that right now.
If we were to go that route, I would combine my thing with your thing and be like, it is that spectral creature, and what it wants most is to have a solid form. So it visits things and takes a little piece of you to try to gain a material form.
Corporate.
Like that. I like that.
So it is an invisible creature that is able to come in and waft through you, and in that process take a piece of you. You get some sort of save, and every save that fails, it gets a little bit stronger, while the DM goes, you suddenly have a 19 in strength. So a permanent deficiency until you defeat that creature and get your piece back.
God, when you're starting, I got some minor false Hydra vibes from that.
Well, I was gonna say that could be the basis of a creature that winds up being a BBG later on, or that is a creature that has its own quest. That if it accomplishes this, it gains corporeal form. It's Voldemort. It's trying to get its body back.
And even better, if it's pulling from different people in the party, it pulls a little bit from this one, pulls a little bit from this one, pulls a little bit from this one, and over time the party's like, man, I don't know, I'm just really feeling kind of low.
And as it becomes more tangled, you might not be able to see it, but when it happens, after it goes through the whole party. The first person can't really feel it. They're just like, oh, must have been the wind. But the next person feels something going through them and sucking part of their existence out as it gains that corporeal form. It's their strength to pull from other people.
The stats of its initial form, it would have 6s in every stat. and its goal is to work its way up, and so it's stealing 1 point of 1 point of strength, 1 point of this, 1 point of this, so that it's trying to build up to 20s eventually.
Yeah.
But it starts at 6s, and so it starts as something that could be defeated if they figure out how.
Maybe piggyback off of what you said. At first, they can only take like 1 point from your stat block, but as they become stronger, and you said you can kind of feel something happening at the same time, maybe they're taking 2 points at a time. And if you let it grow strong enough without dealing with it, maybe it takes 3 points once it gets at a point where it's strong enough. I would say that once it was that strong and somebody passed their save, maybe with a significant DC check, then that's when they realize there is a creature here that is doing something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you can attach that to, you can easily attach that to an item that's like, that was a piece of loot or something. They cursed themselves.
Wow. Jeez. I didn't expect this game to work so well, but fuck, this is amazing. We're coming up with good ideas.
It's an aquatic creature. It's the fish in sea.
And like that, you ruined it.
Again, bring back the swarm things.
Mod, please kick Cap.
Even I didn't like
I
that one.
am the Punisher.
Wait, kick him. He's uninvited.
That's it. This is what Gruntled feels like.
The mod has betrayed me.
I will build a character. I will build a character with really low hit points for Sunday, so that you can potentially just take him right out.
Oh, don't worry about the hit points. It's going to happen anyway.
Oh man,
Beautiful.
His name's going to be Kappa Arsis.
He'll be capsized.
Would
Do I
anyone
have
like
to roll for that?
You're gonna rename
Do
your
I have to
notepad.
roll to know what capsized is?
Oh crap! I mean,
I'm
I
5'10".
love this.
I'm 5'10". That's capsized.
Okay. I love this game. This is so much fun.
First person in chat to give me a number 1 through 10, I'll take your number
Yes.
and pick that word.
We've never taken that.
Right
We've
away
never
for
got
that.
one.
I was
there was a
kind of
good one.
hoping that you gave me the word diffuse. I'm like, what the hell am I gonna do this? And I just brainstormed it.
Well, I have Knight rolled and got an 8, and one witch lady got an 8. So we're doing 8 3 times in a row. I will
Wow.
regenerate.
Yeah, I thought about that right when I said A. I'm like, wait, somebody said A.
Oh,
I say JB picked 8 first.
Yeah, I did.
okay, everybody. Ruin.
Ruin?
Ooh.
Portable Ruins, a dungeon that fits in your pocket.
Wait, isn't that just the players? They see your plans and they ruin them.
I need to expand on this in my head, in my mind palace. Give me a moment.
I'm gonna go with something that looks like a djinn. And people are gonna think it's going to grant them wishes, but it's actually going to grant them like dooms, ruins, like that it's going to like they're going to be catastrophically misinterpreted. I can talk.
Monkey paw situation.
Yeah, but like to 11, right? We're not monkey paw. We're talking ruin, like end civilization, or like create a new campaign setting out of the one they thought they were in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking like a corrupted dryad that instead of, helping preserve nature is just
Ooh, I like that.
wherever it goes.
I like that. That's
Oh, Cass just said a nature spirit whose domain was destroyed, and now she is a ruined spirit, like the panda in ATLA.
Avatar: The Last
Oh,
Airbender.
last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think
All
you
right.
and Cass had that idea at the same moment with our delay.
Yeah.
Hold on. So when you said ruin, I was also thinking like, well, hold on. Are we talking about RUIN or RHUNE?
RHUNE.
Ruin. Like
Oh.
I'm trying to think of like I'm
Linguistic.
seeing if there are different words out there that I'm trying to find different spellings of this. Okay, so ruin is a user. Okay, there's an Irish term term apparently here that it means it's a meadow. And so now I'm wondering, what it would be like to go on this path.
It's a meadow with perhaps a portable ruin.
All right. I have it. I have it.
Okay.
All right.
I'll just do on this one for a little bit.
So you said ruin, and I went to a synonym of despoil.
Okay.
My thinking is this is more plot centric than anything else. It's not a creature that you fight, but more of an effect of a miasma that rolls across the land and just sets anything that it rolls over to ruin. Trees become barren, cities break down into old abandoned buildings and streets that have cracks and potholes in them that haven't been treated in decades. People rot away, creatures waste.
Yeah,
Actually,
I was initially thinking something like that, but I didn't want it to be like apocalyptic, so I backed it down, just like the corrupted bride.
Once again, really love horror themes.
No, that's right.
Well, what if it's one of your forgotten gods? Because to rue something is rue is sorrow. So what if you have your forgotten god of sorrow, who is now more or less like a level 10 humanoid type level, but their ability and the way that they have managed to continue existing without followers is to take people's happiness and leave them with nothing but sorrow. Leave them as ruined versions of themselves.
See, now I'm thinking, what if they are that which creates the craft of cooking? Because I'm thinking of a R-O-U-X.
The ruins that they're just doing it like a verb, ruining.
Or like they are, ruin is like it is the force behind creating food. Like that is that is the reason why clerics are able to create food and drink.
It's freaking Faye or Celestial Gordon Ramsay coming around telling you how your sauce sucks.
Arc Faye Gordon Ramsay, no.
No, because Ramsay is the opposite. He's that god's devil. He comes from Hell's Kitchen, remember?
That's right. That's right.
He's a neutral devil. Now, looking up the definition of ruin, where it says the physical destruction or disintegration of something, my mind went towards a disease kind of similar to leprosy, I would assume, but instead of boils or things like that, it is literally your body disintegrating away. Parts of it is turning to ash and is graying, and you just watch as your hand turns to ash and just falls off of you. And this disease is just called the ruin, and as soon as you have it, there is no cure. Maybe that's something that the players can go on to try and find to save a village, to save an NPC they like, but it is a disintegration spell, but agonizingly slow.
Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good.
Oh no. Oh no, Mr. Stark.
I regret what I've done now. I regret my choice.
What if it's slow? I mean,
now what if it's a creature
at a time?
What if it's a creature with this ability, but it's a creature that does not like or want this ability? It's kind of a Medusa by accident, and it's this thing that...
Or Midas, I agree with you. That's what I was thinking.
Right, yeah.
Someone mentioned it's the opposite of a Midas touch. Can't remember who said that. Thank you, Mod. Let's see. Cass said 3. Let's do one last one for Cass. Cass has been here since we started. Cass. All right. Wait, I'm going to hit. You said 3. I'm going to hit random words 3 times, okay? 1, 2, 3. Ooh. Your word is ratio. ratio.
Like the scales of justice, but on a cosmic balance scale.
Yeah, we're going back to the balance.
I got one.
Let's do this. Go for it.
Okay, so I like the idea of this being a give and pull in arcane forces, so that the more wizards learn wizardry, the more sorcerers get accidentally created. So like, so that if you get this efficient organization, this like Tower of High Sorcery or Tower of High Wizardry vibe, where you start creating this like proportionate, uncontrolled, and ratio of sorcery that is kind of less disciplined, less controlled, less franchised, and disruptive to the setting. You can tell I like disruptive things in settings.
Nah,
just a little bit.
I like playing with the mechanics. I like the idea of it being like it's a quantified understanding of the weave. So it's somebody mathematically figured, the weave is the arcane forces, and someone mathematically figured out, they're like, this is the unit of measure of magic. You have used, essentially like spell slots, you have used 4 grains of magic, and the ratio is, the capital R ratio is this. It's the matrix source code behind the universe.
Ratio is a comparison of one thing to another in amount. So this is where we go back to the question of why and what happens if. What happens if there are too many magic users in the world, whether by accident or just too many people have taken up wizardry? Is there less magic in, across the veil for the people to use? Is magic becoming weaker? Or what happens if there are not enough magic users? Is magic becoming more sporadic? Are there suddenly more wild magic users? Is suddenly there a more monks and wild magic barbarians out there that suddenly have these magic abilities because the magic has to go somewhere? There's just not enough wizards in the world.
I like going back to somebody mentioned earlier, potentially a campaign or plot setting where magic ran out. If there's too many, that magic's a resource, and then if there's too many, it gets used up and it's out.
Yeah.
And that would be
I was gonna say, if you want to get thermodynamic about it, energy can't be created or destroyed, but it can change form. When you use magic, what's the magic in? What out? Like it's the magic is the energy, the magic is the force. It has been converted into what? Into the effect of the spell, likely. Yeah, like into the effect of the spell, but like potentially, what is maybe there is some, I can't think of the exact term, but like when you balance an equation and there is a remainder, what is the remainder?
Unmatched socks.
It's the sock that just
I'm so upset by that. I just can't tell you.
Yeah. See, actually, when you were talking about these, mystical forces, my brain got, I was like, well, what if we go more mundane? And I was thinking that that this could be the secret service or the secret police of the king or rulership, who are trying to keep the economy or the power inside the city in a status quo of the appropriate ratios, so they can maintain power. Be part of the ratio, be part of the guild, be part of the team.
They started out with good intentions. They wanted to keep the balance for the safety of the entire world, but they've resorted to going to extreme measures. So the players may think they're bad and take them out, and then realize, oh crap, they actually were doing, they were doing a good thing.
Evil.
Way.
Yeah, or vice versa.
Oh yeah,
it's the deep state.
Yeah. But the idea of the organization being called the Ratio is so sinister and awesome. I love it.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you can go really dark and historical with it. The Ratio is, if I could say that.
If a person gets,
I'm trying to
get killed off, they're simply ratioed.
They might be ethnic elitists.
No. Careful.
And to keep their golden ratio, there are cleansings.
Oh, no.
Ooh.
Yeah, like I said, if that person dies, they are ratioed.
Yeah, they got ratioed.
They got ratio.
Oof.
I'm gonna cancel you.
And if they were a slut, they are whore ratioed.
No, dear.
Ah.
It is all out.
All right.
Yeah, what if a particular paradigm or meta of magic, if you will, becomes a
meta
little bit
magic?
too powerful, and the gods just decide to release a patch note? It's publicly available to everyone, but that particular build has been nerfed.
or removed.
Well,
Yeah.
Like,
publicly
look,
available to all.
Like, look, y'all were
Yeah.
traditional fireball.
Yeah, the gods
What
leave
if
their
a-
patch notes just in the town square.
What if ratio is an ability? It's somebody who it's like a wizard, like a sorcerer, it's somebody, but they don't have magic of their own. It's an ability where when they are around someone else who casts magic, if someone casts casts a spell at 5th level, for some weird reason it only went off at 4th level. Because this person over here plucked the little piece of that magic and can use that little piece of magic. They don't have any of their own. They just steal. They steal magic from other people.
Or it's this little dainty, weak creature that has the ability when you're about to just like smite the heck out of it. No, it's now on par with you.
I like that. Or like, it's
Oh,
able to, if they pluck a little bit of magic, they're able to cast the same spell at a lower level.
At the one, they can cast it at the level they could. Like, so if you cast at 5th level, it goes off at 4th level. They stole 1 level of magic,
One
so they
level.
can now cast it at 1st level. Yeah.
Exactly.
Nice.
Are we recording this? Because we need these ideas.
Yes, this is going to be recorded as I believe, and then put up later. But
A
yeah.
golden ratio of magic, 80% of the magic is owned by 20% of the people.
oh geez, we're gonna get into that here soon.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, man,
Going towards the
idea.
mismatched socks thing. Instead of mismatched socks, it's like the universal dryer. Just socks go missing.
Very good.
Yeah, like,
Okay,
you do
we
tend to just get
are
stuck in
coming up
drawers.
on 11, so it is time to do final thoughts and wrap up and say goodbye. So one more time, everybody, let's just go through and say who we are, where they can find us, and if you want any last thoughts or tips you have. We will start at the bottom and go up this time. Cap, start us off.
I am ScreenCap. I am on TikTok for the next 165 plus days. I can also be found on OnlyFans, and that remains a joke. And I have an infant. Okay, I have an OnlyFans account. There is no content on it.
No, you should only post videos of fans, please.
That's right, ceiling fans.
I just want to do one of rolling dice.
Nice.
I'm gonna actually get a big stand fan, like the kind that,
Yes.
and I'm gonna go, hey guys, I got a great video of something blowing really hard.
Chewbacca!
It's only a fan.
And rotating.
It's my only fan.
Blowing all around. Anyway, so you can find me on twitch.tv, GFGJewbacca. You can find me on Mastodon at GFGJewbacca. And the reason why I have GFG in front of my name is because of a Discord server, GFG. If you want to find out more about it, you can. There's a link in my Twitch page, so you can jump on in and hang out with some of these strange weirdos I've chosen to associate with, like Ava Unit.
All right. And speaking of Ava Unit,
As I said at the beginning, I am Ava Unit. You can find me in several places. I am Ava Unit 3 on TikTok. I am Ava Unit 3 on YouTube. I am Ava Unit 03 on Twitch. I am the community manager for No Panic Button and one of the admins for GFG alongside Jewbacca. You can find me in any of those places, or you can find me right here next Friday running a session of A Quiet Year with some of these nerds.
For legal reasons, he cannot discuss what happened to Eva Unit 01 or Eva Unit 02.
Oh no, they're dead.
I was going to say you don't want to know, but now we do.
LoreMoth.
You can find me mostly on TikTok at LoreMoth, but I am also now on Twitter and on Blue Sky and a little bit on Tumblr. Feel free to follow me at any of those places. I would love to see you.
All right. And the man I've been trying to get on since day one, and scheduling is a bitch, 7th Mastery.
Yeah, 7th Mastery. You can find me on TikTok predominantly. I also stream Magic the Gathering on the TOH Purple Place. And I also have a Discord also, 7th Shadow. So you can find that in my doobly-doo on the TikToks. Or Linktree for 7th Mastery.
Very good. Well, I've been NerdyTeacher. You can find me on TikTok and maybe eventually YouTube, but I'm joined here with my lovely husband, Zach, who is off screen. We both, and Cap, will be here tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern for
tomorrow.
the next session of Mountain of Mystery. And actually, all three of us, again, will be here Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, for a special one-shot featuring Popo Blanco. Please come and see the shenanigans that Popo has in store. I'm running it as the DM. It's all been Popo's idea, so be ready.
That's terrifying.
It is. Believe me.
She might be lamenting that a little bit by the end of the night.
This is going to be interesting. So come see, just, I don't know what it's going to be, but it's been amazing. Thank you to our mod Josh for being here tonight. Thank you everyone for coming. And I'm just going to end with my favorites. May all of your rolls be crits. Good night, everybody.